I've just retired from a CEO position with a statewide organisation, having been there for 8 years. That was my third CEO role. And what else did you want to know?
How long have you been in leadership
Oh,
roles?
I've been in leadership. I was thinking about, I've been in leadership roles since I was a teenager, really.
Yep,
I'm one of these people that, you know how they say that leaders aren't made, they're born?
yep.
And I think I'm one of those. I think I've decided I was probably one of those people. I just really enjoy leading. So I think I've probably been doing it since yeah, I was certainly leading youth groups and being on community organisations since I left school, really.
Yeah, okay.
But in paid employment, I was a leader, being a paid leader probably from my early 20s. Yeah, in leadership roles of one sort or another. From my yeah.
Sorry, and I don't think I actually introduced you, Wendy Groot. I've known you for a couple of years now, and we've touched on a couple of, I guess, different careers that you had. Would you like to just maybe mention a couple of those? Because I know there's some quite distinct leadership positions you have held in the past.
Yes, so I was involved in for about 10 years in a statewide leadership role with the Uniting Church, where I was one of the key leaders for the state in change management in congregations and camps and leadership development roles with church groups. I've always worked for not-for-profits, except my teenage years when my first job was picking strawberries, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone.
Isn't terribly profitable, but
No, it's hard work making money picking strawberries. And then I was in a ministry role. So I was actually a minister of a church for a while, like what they call a lay minister. And then I was a life coach for a number of years with the Hobart City Mission, and did a lot of work with the community, a lot of work in prisons, including the Youth Detention Centre. And then I worked for the Hobart City Mission, managing about 25 different programs. And then from that, I went to an organisation called ARAFMI, which was, hang on, I'll need to do something with her. You have to stop, okay? Can only edit to a point. Go and get your treat. So I then I worked for an organisation called ARAFMI, which was carers of people with mental illness and their families. And then my last role was with Epilepsy Tasmania as their CEO, which I've just retired from.
and getting used to what retirement looks like.
And getting used to what retirement looks like.
So, what's one thing you wish somebody had told you before you became a leader?
That there isn't a rule book and there isn't a guidebook. that you actually have to learn who you are as a leader, and then apply that to your role. So to be really, really clear about, if somebody had said to me I needed to be really, really clear about what sort of leader I wanted to be from the start, that might have helped me a little bit. But I remember one person, the advice that I got when my first role was to be careful for what you wish for, and I think that's probably quite true too. That sometimes being a CEO and having a desire to do that isn't necessarily what you think it's going to be.
No,
So,
funny that.
yeah.
Do you remember that moment where you realised I'm in charge now? And what stands out in your memory of that?
When I was, yes, most of the times when I've in my organisations where that's been the case. It's been when I realised that the buck stops with me, and I'm the one that needs to make the final decision here, having listened and in all the processes that you go through. But in one organisation, I said I realised that I was the leader because every time I turned around and turned over what I called another rock, another creepy crawly crawled out, and another problem existed. So if somebody told me that what you've been told about the organisation before you take on the role, only a very small amount of that is actually accurate. There's a whole lot else going on that you don't know until you actually get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, what's one mistake you made that actually turned out to be a gift?
Probably listening to people too much was probably one of the things that I learned early on that was actually a gift in the end, because I learned how to listen better. But I was listening and acting on people's opinions too soon. But I'd learned over years that it's really important to actually listen and act, but timing's the crucial part of it.
Brilliant.
So that's what in the end, that became a gift, because I decided I wasn't going to be pressured by people to make decisions before I was ready to make them.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.